Welcome to another episode of the Online Prosperity Experience podcast. You're about to hear your host, Prosper Taravinga's powerful digital marketing strategies and actionable tactics that you can use right now. Prosper has helped more than 50,000 people from over 10 countries to create meaningful businesses that are profitable and enjoyable. Listen to this podcast so that you too can build your own business with less stress and overwhelm. Let's get started.
Hello, and talking about building businesses with less stress and overwhelm. My name is Prosper Taravinga, and welcome to the Online Prosperity Experience, where we're talking about how to make your big dreams happen. Now, everybody has sort of started with their New Year resolutions, and 2020 is upon us, all right? There's a lot of people that have plans, goals, and aspirations that they really want to tackle in this year coming. Now, I've got a question for you. What's going to stop you from actually reaching those goals in the next 3 months? All right, so listen along. Let's get started on this podcast so we can find out what it is that we can start doing today in order for us to achieve all of those dreams that we are aspiring for. Now, no doubt you have big dreams. And now that this is the new year and it's a new decade, I know you've got big dreams, and it's time to put rubber to the road so that you can actually start achieving those results. Now, maybe you've decided to start your own business, or you want to quit your job in order to pursue those passions. Perhaps you want to move to a bigger home like my family. We've been living in a 3-bedroom house, and I've been using one of the rooms as my office. Now that we've got a second girl, I need to make plans to make sure that we accommodate everybody else while still running my business. All right. So our biggest plan in the next couple of years is to move to a bigger home, or maybe move across the country. But with the fires in Australia right now, we have to reconsider. Or maybe you just want to make a personal change by running a marathon, or like me again, writing a book to establish your authority within the industry. Or some people might have a goal to reach an optimum weight that they want to feel comfortable with. All of this might sound impossible when you first decide to do what you want. And certainly some dreams may take a lot more time, money, and effort than others to pull off. All right. I set out to start this podcast at the beginning of the year, and I think we are so far 10 or 15 episodes in, which is really, really exciting. I want you to consider these things moving forward so that you can take your leap of faith and making those dreams come true in 2020. I want this year to stick for you, to make it permanent. We always remember the years that we did something of significance. You remember the first year you went to high school, when you had your first kiss. You remember the first year you bought your first car, or you bought your first home. Make 2020 something remarkable that you will always be talking about later on. And for this to happen, you need to visualize your dream. Now, you might be asking, Prosper, what does that mean? And have you started going new agey on me at the moment? I want to tell you something. When you visualize your dream, you literally are doing what you do every single day when you're traveling to work, or when you're traveling to the beach, or when you're traveling to the shops. The first thing you do when you enter your car is to set your navigation system, or your GPS, to the destination of which you are going. And then the GPS self-navigates itself back to where you are. I doubt it that when you get into your car, you start typing the address of where you are, because that's not where you're going. So when you decide on a big life goal, you need to really make it crystal clear and what it actually means to you. And this is the time where you don't need to be vague, because when you have vague ideas or vague plans, you come up with mediocre results. So you want to paint an ideal picture in your head to make it really easy for you to pinpoint exactly what it is that you want and go out and get after it. And you actually have to imagine and see yourself achieving those goals or fulfilling those activities. For example, maybe you want to take a big trip. So the one thing that you do, you start digging the details right away. It's a good thing these days we don't need maps, all right? Even if your journey is going to be a couple of years later, you need to start asking yourself or preparing yourself, how am I going to get there? Am I going to fly? Am I going to drive? Am I going to cruise there? Where do you want to go and why? Because you cannot hit a target that you cannot see. You cannot arrive at a destination that you have not scheduled yourself to be. Where you are right now, you made an appointment to be there. All right. So, what are the major sites that you want to see along the way? Choose not only the cities you want to visit, but also who in those areas would you like to visit? That might encourage you to do it more, depending on the relationship you have with that person. Okay, do you want to take a bus? Do you want to take a train? In this instance, you want to Google where the best areas to go and visit are so that your time when you get there is not wasted. So this is the big picture of you planning your trip and making the most of it. And the more you get involved emotionally in this planning phase, the more you want to do it, the more you get the motivation to continue and the more you want to continue and go on this trip. And whenever you can, talk to people who've been there, people who have traveled there, people who have told you stories about being in those places, or people that actually live there. There's nothing than being shown a place by a local. There are websites where you can literally find a local to show you around cheaper than getting a tour. Or maybe you already know people that are there. Try and connect with them. So the more you put energy into doing something, the more you involve yourself into achieving the goal, the better chances you have to actually achieve that goal. Or maybe you want to move to a new town or a new country. A lot of people have been affected by fires, and a lot of people are going to be moving from the places they had been calling home for a long time. Start window shopping. What are the possible new places? What are new trends? A lot of people are starting to have those small homes or container ship homes. What style of home are you going to want to live in? What style of accommodation suits you? All right, depending on your circumstances. Or are there going to be places where you can easily walk to restaurants? Would you be able to go to start new hobbies that you might pick up based on the location of the place that you are going to be living? So you need to visualize this dream and you need to make it real in your head so that your brain automatically thinks that it is possible, because your brain does not know what is real and what is not. And if you create a vision board, or if you create vision videos, or you record yourself, or you journal your experiences and your emotions and how you're going to tackle it, your brain automatically starts navigating and looking around for things that are going to help you towards your goal. I want you to try out something right now. Wherever you're sitting, whether you're sitting in your office or whether you're sitting in a train or whether you're sitting outside playing or watching your kids, just turn around right now. Did you turn around? Great. I want you to tell me how many, or think to yourself, how many red things did you see? I bet you were not thinking of any red things, right? Now, I want you to turn around again. Maybe you're sitting in a chair in your office. Just do another sweep, 360 degrees. Turn around. How many red things did you see this time? Right? That's called reticular activated system in your brain. Whenever you tell your brain what to look out for, it becomes like a heat-seeking missile. It goes out and searches for those exact things, the people, the contacts, everything that you need in order to fulfill that dream. All right. So if you've got a vision board that you have and you constantly are looking at that vision board, I've got a video that plays every time I'm in the office. It's got videos of Bali. It's got videos of all the places that I want to take my family, how my car looks like, how my office should look like. And I'm constantly watching that. Guess what? Most of the things that are in the video have come to pass. All right. So maybe you don't have the capacity of creating a video. You could create a Pinterest board or a collage, or you can construct pictures out of magazines. All right. And then paste them together, put them in front of you where you can visually process them every single day. Because the process of actually collecting these images will help you narrow down what it is that you actually want and what the finished product would look like. Because how are you going to know when you've arrived? How are you going to know? So, like I said earlier, you can't hit a target that you cannot see. All right. So, the more details that you gather up from the very beginning, the more real it becomes in your head. And the more information that you have about a certain activity, or the more confidence you start building within yourself, and you leading to the next point, you start believing in yourself. The more you believe in yourself, the more you can actually do anything. I've got a 4-year-old Kalia. You're probably going to be hearing about her in all these podcasts, and a 9-month-old at the moment, Alania. Yesterday, I took them to the pools, and I told her one single thing, and I was like, just jump. Believe that I'm going to catch you. All right. I transferred the belief that I have in her being able to jump into the water to herself. Now she's jumping as if she's the one who invented jumping. Daddy, look. Daddy, watch me. Daddy, do this. Right now, I have reinstated the belief that she has in herself that she can jump. Imagine how many things you're stopping yourself just because you don't have the prior information as to what is required of you, what the next move is going to be. I understand a lot of people are afraid of making mistakes. So the more you believe in yourself, the more you gather information regarding certain things, the more you will have the confidence in tackling those activities. Now, if you really want a big dream to happen, you must believe in yourself and erase any shadow of a doubt that you might have. Because you really deserve to have a successful business. You really deserve to have successful relationships. You really deserve to have everything you aspire for. You should travel the world. You should look good in all the dresses or shirts that you wear. In fact, you deserve it more than anyone else. And it's about time you go out there and get what you wanted. In fact, why haven't you done it already? See, sometimes people might just think this is a little bit over the top and I'm getting a bit woo or whatever the case might be. But the secret sauce to having your dreams come true is self-belief. As a prime example, consider, I don't know if you know anything about music. Maybe you're in the age where the Beatles were in time, or Elvis Presley, or Michael Jackson, whoever you might think. It's very daunting to be in front of an audience. And I've heard that some people would rather be in the casket than say out the eulogy. All right. So just giving it a music example, let's talk about the Beatles. These are 4 young men who came from working class backgrounds, who rose to the top of their field. All right. So everybody knows songs from the Beatles. They did not become so successful just because they were good at what they were doing, or because they happen to be in the right place at the right time, which a lot of us think that that's how other people get successful. To be sure, they worked really, really hard towards what they wanted, and they were smart about how they got ahead, But it was this unwavering self-belief which they had, which made them so successful and got them right to the top. Apparently, in some magazines, I think it's the Source magazine, it says that their secret ingredient was arrogance. Not arrogance of saying, nobody talks to us because we are now famous or anything, but they remained arrogant until they were finally able to match who they were. They became arrogant to match who they were as artists. So this arrogance was the reason that they abandoned everything and followed their passions in music. All right. It's not arrogance, but it's the belief that they knew that whatever they were going to do, they were not going to fail. One of the guys, George, I think he failed from high school, and then he was going to go and become an electrician, and he bailed on that as well. And the other Beatles, I think his name is John, he flunked art college. Paul did not even finish his final exams, and he squandered his shot at being in university. And there was Ringo. He barely had an education. He ditched his 5-year apprenticeship after 4 years just to go play drums in summer camp. Music was all that the Beatles had left, and this was their only shot. You need to find out what is it that you actually have to do, an unwavering belief in yourself in order to conquer this goal that you're after. So in other words, the Beatles actually became successful because they believed in themselves and did what they thought they needed to make their dreams happen, right? They left no prisoners in today's speak. Having said that, For every band like the Beatles, I mean, I could say there also are the people that didn't make it, that didn't achieve that level of success. So you want to be careful when you follow your dreams. Just make sure that they're worth following and they're not worth taking out a second mortgage on your home for. Another thing you want to be on the lookout for is when you're on your quest to living your dreams or achieving your dreams, there's going to be a lot of change, and change is hard. All big dreams and life altering moments involve change. So, just like the Beatles we were talking about, their eventual path to their dream of becoming successful, they had to make a lot of changes. They stopped going to school. They had to change the relationships they had in order to practice up until they became so good. We're still talking about them 50, 40 years down the line. So with change comes a lot of sacrifice. And a lot of us are not ready to follow through with those. It's usually not situations that are keeping us from our dreams. It's ourselves. We have to get out of our heads and look at the work that's ahead of us, right? So what does this look like in reality? Depending on your dream, you might have to start getting up earlier, staying up later, recording your podcasts in odd hours like we're doing right now, to fit in an exercise regime, to write maybe 400, 500 words a day, or doing your business rather than a regular job. Maybe you have to create a budget and you have to start cutting all the expenses that are not helping you go towards your dream, right? And when people start something new, sometimes it feels amazing and they feel a surge of energy as they begin to shape their vision, because when you are working towards a goal, right, you feel energized. And I think it was Earl Nightingale that says success is working towards a worthy ideal. But as when you get in, the more you go into this work, it gets harder for a lot of people and becomes routine. So you need to find, how can you stay on top of your motivation? How do you stay motivated, right? And a lot of people start failing at month number 3, month number 4. And if you remember when we started this podcast, I asked you, what would stop you from achieving all the goals that you set out to achieve this year in just the first 3 months of the year? So if you don't have self-belief and if you are not accepting change, you might be limiting yourself and imposing self-limiting beliefs, all right? And then things like, oh, I don't have the time to do that, or I will do it later, and you start procrastinating. Aversion against discomfort is what a lot of people do. Nobody likes to sit on a bed of nails if they can help it. So when you first realize that when you're pursuing your big dream, you've got to put in the work. You have to be prepared to experience all the discomfort that comes along with it. Because if it was easy, everybody will be doing it. You have to rearrange your life around, And if you want it bad enough, you can fight through all the difficult moments and keep going. All right? And by fighting through those difficult moments, that's when you make concrete plans to make it happen. That's just when you get down to the nitty-gritty of what it is that you're actually going to be achieving. What do you need to do to make your dream happen? In Africa, we've got a statement that says, bite by bite is how the ant eats the elephant. So start by breaking down all these big tasks into smaller, manageable tasks. If you're going to be eating a cake, you're not just going to put the whole thing in your mouth. You cut it into small pieces. Things that seem more doable. Start doing the little things that progressively take you to the end goal. And don't forget to write it all down as you do this. Writing it down puts your mind, your feelings, your emotions all in one place, so you're concentrating on that dream to make it happen. When we were kids, we used to play with a magnifying glass and then taking the sun's rays and focusing them on a particular point of paper so that it could start a fire. Now, the reason why that is because if you just move that magnifying glass all over the show, you are not concentrating that sun's rays at a particular point and no ignition is going to happen. So let's say for example, your dream is to write a book. The idea of writing maybe 40,000 plus words might seem very daunting and overwhelming. Start small. Create an outline of the book chapter by chapter. give it a title. Consider who the audience is going to be. And once you've done your pre-planning, start writing. Just start. Stop this tape right now and start whatever it is that you are going to get started on. So maybe it's just 500 words a day. That might not seem like a lot, but at that pace, you can write a $40,000 book in 80 days. And that's less than 3 months. So like I said, what could stop you from achieving the goals that you set out to the beginning of this year in the next 3 months? This could be another useful example, depending on where you are in your business right now. Maybe you're starting, or maybe you want to start a new product, or maybe you want to start a partnership with somebody else. Just start. You can do the first steps, okay? When you're starting a business, set up a bank account, register that, the website domain in a day. Other things like building a website, marketing a business, dealing with all the accounting stuff and so forth. They will take time, but you can do one little thing at a time. And these days, it's become so easy. Actually, it's become so difficult to be poor these days because there are people out there that you can rent out for $5 on Fiverr. It might be a little bit expensive because of the exchange rates in Australia, but $5 for you to get a whole lot of things done for your business. The logo can be done, the website can be created. And once you've got all of those things in time, set a date, As you think of the process you need to make your dream a reality, give yourself a deadline. Because if we don't have deadlines as human beings, we are not able to achieve all that we set out to achieve. It doesn't have to be, an absolute date and all or nothing, but have a concrete date that will shift you into gear, right? So tell yourself you'd have the book written by July or August, or you lose that 20 pounds before you go on your next summer trip or before a wedding or whatever it is that is motivating you. So as an example, I set out to start this podcast and I already put a link on my website by November last year. So that gave me 2 months, people going and clicking on that link and finding crickets, zero, nothing, So what that did was gave me the motivation to start creating because I was now tired of people asking me, when is the podcast going to come? When are we going to listen to you on your podcast? So one other thing besides just setting the date is spreading the word, all right? The more people you tell, the more people you are accountable to. I've got a friend who's trying to stop smoking, and he said that in jest while we were gathered around New Year's. And guess what I do to him every single day? I ask him, have you stopped? Are you still smoking? I'm keeping him true to his word and accountable to his word. One thing to have a secret deep down inside is nobody knows. And when nobody knows, then you stop caring because you know that nobody's going to ask you about it. You're going to need to hold yourself accountable to make this dream happen. And sometimes you can let yourself slide. But one of the best ways to keep yourself moving forward is to tell people about it. Tell your most supportive friends and family about your big plans. We've got a community that we have with over 500 small to medium businesses, and it's going to keep growing on community.livelongdigital.com.au. Jump in there and tell us your big plans, and we will hold you accountable. Because once you start telling people that what you're going to do, or maybe it's quitting your job or stopping to smoke or to go on your trip to Bali, it becomes real in your head. And guess what? People will come with ideas. People will come with encouragement and everything else to make the journey easy for you, right? It starts becoming real. It stops just becoming a crazy idea. But it's also worth noting the caveat around this because some people might just be not motivated, in themselves, and then they might start offering you discouragement. Ignore those people. Ignore the naysayers, all right? Sometimes some people are threatened by your success. So the people that are really close to you are usually threatened by your dreams. So stop telling your dreams to small-minded people. Because if you do it, then you're showing them off. What if you climb that mountain? Will you still love them if they're always sitting on the couch? What if you lose that weight? Will you be going out to look for a new partner? So sometimes people would normally keep those dreams to themselves, but find accountability partners. So jump into the community and let's talk about your dreams. Because personally, I disagree with that logic. It's inevitable that somebody will challenge your goals sooner or later. There's always somebody who is predisposed to saying no matter how good an arrangement is, no matter how good an idea is. So if you encounter such resistance, it's time to actually start taking stock of the people around you, right? This then gives you also an opportunity to actually demonstrate that this is possible. So be prepared for people that are not going to share your enthusiasm, and they're going to be naysayers. These are the people you're going to be trying to prove wrong. You also need them, all right? And besides people and those that you love, there's going to be obstacles. If it was easy, everybody will be doing it. So not every dream is going to go according to plan. In fact, a lot of people get derailed. People like Thomas Edison, he had to try 10,000 times in order to achieve the light bulb. People like Bill Gates, he just didn't start off with Microsoft as an idea. He had a company called Truffle Data, which he failed in front of the people he wanted to showcase to. So it's most certainly that you're going to have little failures here and there. All right. But be sure to collect the few successes that you can along the way. And I call those little successes successories. All right. The little accessories that you put onto your whole outfit of success. Setbacks are going to come. Be prepared for that. All right. So maybe you're saving money for something and then your car breaks down, or like we did, we were saving to buy a bigger home and then the heating in the house broke down. We had to fork out a lot of money for that. Accidents happen. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. Your dog might need to go to the vet while you're trying to build a business, or your website might be attacked by hackers. All of those things might happen. Do not let any of those things stop you from your way to success, right? Any parent, any successful person, any therapist, or any coach is going to tell you that failure is part of the journey. It just depends on how you learn to pick yourself up and push and push and push forward until you reach your pinnacle of success. You can't figure out the steps that you need to take in order to achieve your dreams. You're going to encounter barrier after barrier, because that is what makes us stronger. Butterflies are not just born as butterflies. They have to be cocooned. First, they're a worm when they start. And then when they evolve in the process, that's when they then get their wings and become the beautiful creatures that we see, out there. So seek people that can help you out, coaches. And like I said, we've got a community of other like-minded individuals that you can jump onto and, find people that can help you achieve your dreams. Whatever is going to happen, do not give up. Do not give up. You got to keep going. Acknowledge the disappointment, acknowledge the failure, and whatever setback, because every setback is a setup for a comeback. And once you start doing that and you understand that failure is just going to be part of the everything, do one thing every single day that brings you closer to your goal. Because when you're working towards your dream, one of the best strategies is to, like I said, break it down into smaller pieces. And by looking at the big change in terms of the little baby steps that you're taking, the small accessories that you're picking up along the way, guess what? You keep getting motivated, because the further you go towards your goal, you don't want to come back to where you started off from. All right? And it doesn't seem so difficult in the end. So do one small thing every single day. And this will allow you to make regular deposits towards your success goal. Why is this important? Because as you strive to bring your dream to life, you're likely going to discover that life is the biggest obstacle. You're going to need to go to the bathroom at some point. That is going to happen while you're talking to a client. Something is always going to get in the way of changing our lives. Something is always going to be in the way. And what could you do each day? You might add onto your vision board, writing in your journal. Take one step towards your business plan. Make that one call to a prospect every single day. Because this might seem like small things, but when you do something every single day, you're just a little closer, and progress is a huge motivator in tough times. Make sure you are collecting all those little successories. Great. All right. So now it's your turn. Jump into the community and let us know about your big dreams so that we can help you become accountable. so that we can help you fulfill those dreams. Both the ones that you've achieved and the ones that you are working towards. We want to know, because you never know who you might motivate. All right? See you on the inside.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, let's continue the conversation in the Live Long Digital community. Become a Live Long Digital community member today. This community is for ambitious entrepreneurs and small business owners with the drive to take control of the future of their businesses and achieve huge success without stress and overwhelm. As you heard, Prosper can help you by teaching you marketing strategies that work. So look no further than the Live Long Digital community of entrepreneurs and highly successful business owners. Join our community today. Find us on www.community.livelongdigital.com.au. Network with other driven entrepreneurs and find the expert guidance you need to take your business to the next level. www.community.livelongdigital.com.au